On this week's episode of the Ed Newsstand podcast, I'm going to provide you Apple resources to help you learn from home. Some of the resources I'm going to provide are Apple's Education Learning Series, a video series to help you get more familiar with some of the features built into your MacBook or your iPad. There are also activities to help you with the creativity with your students, ages 4 through 8 or 8 through 12. There are Apple quick guides that you can download and use for yourself, share with your students, or share with your parents. And if you aren't familiar, I'm going to introduce you to Apple Teacher. Apple Teacher is a series of activities that you can go through to earn badges on MacBooks and iPads that you can utilize on social media platforms. All that and more is available for you this week on the Ed Newsstand podcast. Let's dive in. As you can see, there is a lot going on in this week's newsletter, and each thing that you see in the newsletter is its own link. So as you are working through the newsletter, I want you to be able to click on the link, and we're going to go through them, and I'm going to show you what's in them. And a lot of the links are doubled up in the various tabs that you can click on throughout the newsletter. But the key is I want you to go to the things that you specifically want and not have to just click on one giant page or put a whole bunch of links on here for you to have to figure out where you're going. So if you want something specifically, I want it to take you directly there. So let's go through these links. So anywhere you see my Bitmoji or with the foam finger or with the little pointer, these are all links that I want you to be able to click on. The first one we're going to go to is this one in the top corner. So you're going to see it here, and it's going to take you to this Teach and Learn from Any Distance. And as you go through here, you can watch some of the videos about educators around the world and how they are keeping students engaged. We're going to talk about the Apple Education Learning Series, which I will take you to in just a moment. But again, you can go directly there. I'm going to talk about Apple Teacher a little bit later in this podcast. If you are looking for different app and book collections, here are some books and apps that will help you out. So you can see here they have specific to a remote learning collection, a study at home collection, and just learning books. So if you're looking for iBooks to purchase, some of them free, some of them you have to pay for, check out this remote learning book collection. Here are specific ways for you to engage students with helpful curricula and teaching tools. So you can see the Everyone Can Create curriculum. We've got Everyone Can Code through Swift Playgrounds, which is amazing. And then you have the Schoolwork app. So if you are looking for a learning management system and maybe you don't use Google Classroom or Seesaw or Schoology or something, you can certainly try to put all of your stuff into Schoolwork. I also have a link for time-saving tips for teachers. I'm going to show you where the quick guides are for learning with Apple, some creativity that you can do with your students. And then down here, you can also see if you want to start coding with your students, here is a little quick start guide for you to work through. And then if you want to collaborate with various teachers through social media, there are many, many, many ways for you to do that. One is you can follow at Apple EDU, or you can follow the hashtag Apple EDU chat. So if you follow either of these, they will give you tons of resources that you will be able to find to maybe enhance or strengthen your use of your MacBook or your iPad. Here is some more information about using some of the built-in apps for iPad. So we've got Pages, we've got Numbers, Keynote, FaceTime, messaging. So you can read through some of those if you're looking to strengthen your information and knowledge of some of those built-in apps. And then specifically because we live in a COVID world right now, how to clean your Apple products. This is a very good guideline and recommendation for cleaning your Apple products, because maybe you're like, I don't really know what the best way to do that is. You can follow this resource, and then this resource is just mainly for IT leaders and people like that. If you want to connect with Apple support, there are virtual lessons that you can have, and they are free one-on-one coaching sessions with an Apple professional. So you can click on this link here, or you can register for a virtual conference. And then if you're looking for any support materials or support communities, you can link to all of those here, whether you have a MacBook, whether you have an iPad, or whether you have your personal iPhone and you're using that as well. And if you want to try and call Apple support, you certainly can do that, or I recommend reaching out to your local tech person within your district. But a lot of resources on this first page here to get you started, and we are going to jump into most of these that we kind of saw, and I'm going to show you just exactly what they all are about. So let's next look at this Apple Education Learning Series. So this is going to take you to a lot of different videos that you can watch related to that. When you come here and you click on this, you'll see that you have the video player right at the top. But if you scroll down, here are some of the current videos that they have available for you right now. So it'll show you how to create and share presentations and make demonstrations for students, how to create engaging videos using the Clips app on the iPad, and it is a free video making software. Here is a way for you to connect and collaborate remotely with your students using Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, or FaceTime, or iMessage. If you want to increase your students' accessibility and fluency, here are some ways to do that, turning on your speak screen or the Safari reader or the speech control. I do have another video for that on my YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Some of the other things in here are assistive touch, helping students use assistive touch to increase their productivity, interactive worksheets with Pages, active learning through creativity. So you can see here that there are just a ton of different videos for you that are available, and I recommend checking out this resource if you want to learn more about any of the videos that I mentioned here. Next, you're going to click on this. This part here is just a little PDF that you can download for Apple Education Update resources. So you can see here, it just sends you to the Learning from Home. But some of the other things that I thought were a little more interesting on here that you could find were some of these things about augmented reality. So if you're looking to incorporate some AR into your curriculum, you've got the augmented reality mind maps. You can create a My Journey through augmented reality. And then there's the Everyone Can Create Augmented Reality. So these are some great resources in here. Specifically, you can get started with the Schoolwork User Guide. So I talked about that learning management system. So a few different resources on here for you to kind of get started with some of the resources that we mentioned before. So these have just a couple of new resources that you're looking for, but you also have the user guide. We talked about iPad OS 14 last week. Here's the user guide for iPad OS 14. So the next resource here, this big blue box that I have for you, is Creativity with Kids. So if you're looking for specific activities to do with your students, here are some great activities that you can use to kind of either jumpstart your learning and your students' use with the iPad. I know they've probably had the iPads for a while, but just different ways, and maybe ways to kind of spruce up things that you are doing in your classroom. Or because we are in this little pocket right now between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you're looking for new ways to re-energize or re-engage yourself, re-engage your students back into learning, look at some of these creativity activities with kids, and it may showcase for you some new things that you can do with your iPad that maybe you haven't tried in the past, but just might be kind of fun for you to try. So if you click on the link, it's going to take you to this page here, the Creativity for Kids. And then you'll see here that there are 30 activities for kids ages 4 through 8 plus, and then you have 30 more activities for kids ages 8 through 12 plus. So if you click on one of them, it's going to open up a PDF for you. And you can see here that it looks like a calendar. And really, this is just supposed to work you through kind of 30 different days, one new activity for each day of the week and the month. So as you can see here, you don't click on these things, or you can check mark them off, but if you scroll down a little bit farther, you will actually see the activities, and it'll be a way to get you started. So you can see here, the first activity is for you to personify something. So to get started, open your photo, tap Edit, then tap on the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner and use Markup. So they have this picture here of the golf ball, and they're about to hit the golf ball, and they just gave the personification to the golf ball about a scared golf ball. So just some specific ways that you can transform things. And if you move throughout this, you'll see all of the different 30 activities that talk you through how to get started and ways for you to maybe incorporate that activity into your lesson. If you go back, you'll get the activities for ages 8 through 12 plus, and you can see that they're a little more advanced for students. They're remixing loops, showing true colors, animating a portrait. So it just is another step up. And if you find that your students are maybe in that 8, 9 age area, but they are a little more advanced for the 4 through 8, then just jump over here and do these. Or, if you really want to take it to the next level, you can start with those 4 through 8 activities and just get the students on a roll, even if they are a little bit older, even if they are 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade. Just start with some of those basic ones and just do all of them. Then you've got 2 months of resources and activities that you can work on with your students. So you can see down here at the bottom, you can download all of these images individually. if you have a specific favorite one. So there are a ton of different resources on here to really spark and engage your creativity with your students. Next, there are some quick guides here specifically for you, but you can also share these with your students about learning with Apple. They are just printable PDFs, so just learning guides here. Tips to stay focused, organize your iPad for learning. So you can see here, they've got the different apps that you can utilize, the multitasking, the do not disturb, adjusting notifications specifically in your settings, staying on track with your timer. Different ways for you to stay organized with Safari, with your app collection, ways to share notes and manage your schedule using your calendar, how to manage screen time. This might be something specific to parents that you want to share with them. Here's some ways to increase your productivity and boost your fluency. So you can read through all of these different ways to tell stories. And so maybe you know about all these apps on the iPad, but you're not 100% sure. Like, I've seen them, but I haven't really figured out how to use them yet, or I'm not really interested, or I found something else. I encourage you to dive back into some of these, especially the voice memo and the photos album. They come pre-loaded already on the iPad, and they're great ways for you to utilize things on the iPad and use them right in clips. Or maybe you don't use Keynote because you use Google Slides, or maybe you use Google Docs, but maybe you want to use Pages because they are built specifically for the iPad. So I encourage you to kind of look through these PDFs here and find out ways that maybe you weren't utilizing the iPad to its full potential. Next here we have this app collection. Built-in features of the iPad that help teachers save time and make it easier to teach with the iPad. So you'll see here just time-saving tips for teachers. And this is really specifically for you. So if you look through these here, ways for you to capture ideas on the go. And this works just like the creativity for students. You'll see here the 30 different days, but then as you scroll down, it'll tell you how to get started and what to specifically do with your iPad. So I encourage you to kind of look through this and help yourself stay a little bit organized and save yourself some time, or think about new ways that you can be incorporating some of the tools that are built into the iPad into your classroom and to your digital learning. The last two things that I want to talk about, the first one is Apple Teacher, and I don't have my Bitmoji for this yet, but Apple Teacher is a great resource for teachers because it will literally walk you through each step of using an Apple product. So I'm going to click on the Apple Teacher over here, and you can see here the 30 activities for students are in here, but here it is, learn and earn. So you can learn skills for iPad, you can learn skills for Mac, you can earn badges in Swift Playground, which is the coding software. You can earn your badges for your Mac, but what these really do is they help you learn specific skills related to all of these Apple products. So if we look at the one, earn badges for the iPad, you can see that I've worked through most of these already, but if you click on the specific app that you are looking to work on, here are the skills that you can look at and work on with regard to your iPad. So maybe you want to learn more about, wait, there's a drawing feature in Pages on iPad? I don't know about that. So if you click on the drawing feature, it'll talk to you about how to illustrate your drawings, and then it'll have you try it on your iPad. And as you work through each of these, when you finish all of the stuff that you see, the templates, the text, the annotation, the collaboration, you will earn a badge that you can showcase. And when you are all done, you'll earn a giant badge that'll say you're an Apple teacher. And you can put that badge in your email. You can put it on your Twitter account. You can put it anywhere that you want that just showcases that, you know what, I'm a pretty good Apple user, and I know kind of what I'm doing when with regard to Apple products. So I heavily encourage you to work through this Apple Teacher, whether you have a MacBook. If you don't, if you only have an iPad, then work specifically with the iPad stuff and learn how to really strengthen your knowledge and use of the apps that are built into the iPad. So you can see here we've got some more of these activities that we've kind of talked about before: the augmented reality, the support for remote learning, the everyone can create, the hashtag on Twitter. So a lot of great resources in here for Apple Teacher. All you need to log into Apple Teacher is your Apple ID. So hopefully you have an Apple ID. Otherwise, signing up for an Apple ID is free, and it'll show you how to get started right when you try to log into the Apple Teacher Learning Center. The last thing that I want to talk about is a specific Twitter person that I started to follow years ago, and he has all kinds of resources. He finds a lot of resources related to Apple, and he tweets about those different items related to Apple products. So whether you're using an iPad, whether you're using a MacBook, or if you have other Apple products like an iPhone, AirPods, Apple Watch, whatever it might be, Dave Marra has tons of resources for you to look through and to search for when you're trying to maximize your use of Apple products. So if you click on his little picture here in the corner, it'll take you to his Twitter account, and you can just see that he's got different shortcuts to a lot of stuff. And some of the stuff you might look at and go, this is maybe a little more advanced for me. I don't need to know about Xcode. That's fine. 6 ways to customize your iPhone home screen for a unique look. That sounds like it might be fun. If you scroll down a little bit more, he'll talk about how to get started with AppleScript. You're like, oh, that might be a little too advanced for me. That's fine. How to type the degree symbol on your Mac using a quick method. So that he has a lot of resources, and I'm not saying that you have to spend hours scrolling through his Twitter feed. What I'm saying is, if you're interested in stuff, definitely give him a follow. But he has a lot of resources on here related to Apple specifically for education purposes, but also just for personal things. So if you're always looking for more resources to make yourself better with Apple products, he is certainly a great person to follow. Those are all the resources this week in the Apple Learn From Home newsletter. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I highly encourage you to kind of find something that you really want to plug into, specifically this creativity for kids to help get you through this holiday season and maybe to spice things up in the distance learning. Some people have been distance learning for a long time. Some are just starting it, but different ways to engage your students. Maybe it can be something you set out for your attendance. Maybe it can be something that you're just trying to make it more fun and unique and interesting for students because you're tired of doing the same old activities on your iPad. Whatever it might be, a lot of different resources on here for you, and I encourage that you check them all out. Thanks for listening. Thank you for tuning in this week. As always, you can find me on Twitter at ReynoldsTroy. Find old episodes of the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram at ednewsstand, and you can download my app to stay up to date with my content by scanning the QR code or by going to ednewsstand.glideapps.io and saving the app to your home screen. You can also find all the resources I just mentioned in my newsletter and watch the video I made on my website at ednewsstand.weebly.com. I'm Troy Reynolds. We'll see you next time on the Ed Newsstand Podcast.